good morning. Welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive Safe Dave, the producer, and your one and only, the sweetheart of 2022 so far. It's Sir Rick in the house. Drive Safe Dave, we're showing that shirt again. We've seen it on the roads before. We've seen videos of this. Talk to us a little bit about that shirt.
It's a warning of a traffic pattern with a highway and a roadway close or parallel to a railroad track, and offers very limited space between the track and the road.
Does that ever happen?
All the time.
And does it ever happen? And we've seen videos of that, actually.
All the
We've
time.
seen the video of that truck going down, runs into the train. Thank God everybody was okay. We don't know the exact reason, but that was a sign we saw.
It is.
It was a sign.
Yeah, and you know, it's really cool. I actually have like 2 or 3 of these type that demonstrate different traffic patterns in different ways. And all they're there to do is to warn you, let you know of the dangers imminent, where you're headed, what you're doing, if you plan on changing your direction.
So 2022, lots of promises we go into this year for the resolutions. What are we going to do? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Drive Safe Dave, are you going to shave in 2022?
Yes, I am. I am going to shave in 2022.
You got beard all the way down to your chest right now. What is going on?
I got a little bit of a look going on. I'm not sure how I'm going to develop it. I'm wondering if Drive Safe Dave should formulate a beard this year. I'm trying to figure it out.
Dude, you got it all right now. The back of your head, coming out of your ear. Come on, you got more beard going on than anybody I've ever seen.
That's not true.
So what are you going to grow the beard?
I don't know yet. I actually wanted to see if it was as gray as I thought it was, so I was letting it come out a little bit. And if it's way more gray than I want, it is going to go away.
It's blonde. Let's go with the blonde look. You know what? You got blonde hair. When I go get a haircut, Dave, I'll tell you, it drives me nuts. I will do that, and I'll look at all the gray that comes down. It's all I really look at. And I don't get it. Why with the black cape? You know, so you can show, so you can see, I can see all the gray hair. Why not have a gray cape to put around me so I don't see it as much?
Yeah.
Make me feel a little better.
Or a white cape. Would you feel better with a white cape?
Anything other than that. I don't get the point of the black cape. I mean, all I'm doing is showing all my gray, all my elderness.
You want to just pretend you're Batman, right? Just pretend you're Batman, flipping the black cape around. You feel a little like a superhero. Just pretend you're a superhero.
You know, so when, Big Blue, he hadn't been on the show for a little while, but he used to color his hair like once every other week. He would color it, and the gray would come back in, but he would color. I've never in my life, I don't think I could do that. There's 2 things I won't do. Maybe I should. Is I'm not going to do Bosley's, right? And the Bosley hair thing.
Oh, yeah, the hair club for men.
The hair club for men. I'm out on that. I should probably be in there because I see all that, and I'm like, what the heck is that? And you only see it on this show right here when there's some of the videos. I'm like, oh my God, look at that bald spot. And I'm not going to let that happen either. I'll shave my head before I get the big bald spot right here.
Okay. You will?
I think I will.
Oh, wow.
I'm not going to be the one that does that.
Once you do that, you got to keep going.
I'm good. You know, I've had it shaved before. You know, I've been bald before.
Have you?
Yeah.
I don't think I remember.
Oh, yeah. I've had it cleaned up. I've got everything. I went to work one day and came back from lunch with the head shaved. I was just done. It gave me that eye of the tiger. It was ready. And maybe that's what we're in store for 2022 as we take BCB Live a little bit further. Taking it into more of your homes, into more of your hearts, because what we want to make sure we're doing this year, more than ever, is making it personal for you.
Yep.
Making safety that personal touch that makes you make a different decision out there on the road, that makes you place a little bit more value some way in how you're driving out there on the highway.
Yeah, let's take this opportunity. You know, one of the great things about starting the new year, it gives us an opportunity to change or a new start and kickoff point, right? Like me, I'm on a diet, all right? So I'm not eating bread or sugar.
All right, so yesterday was the first day, maybe?
First successful day.
It was your first success. It was your first day.
It was my first day, Monday.
First day was the first successful day. Okay. Congratulations. And what's your secret, Dave? Because you're looking pretty good.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little thinner already, but no, actually, just yesterday, a salad, and then last night, grilled chicken.
Wow,
and,
good for you.
Yeah, and a vegetable. And,
I did walk yesterday. I got some exercise. I didn't eat the best. Did pretty good during the day. My weakness, again, is when I get home. Last night, did you buy a lottery ticket?
I did.
Are you a winner?
I don't know.
Did anybody win? Okay, well, let's find out. It was like a $550 million lottery. I got up. Kendra told me, said, hey, we didn't buy a lottery ticket, so I get up and I go buy a lottery ticket. It's like
I was
8
already
o'clock.
home, and then I went, oh, lottery time.
8 p.m. I go, and I've done pretty good on my eating. So just in that little bit, all it took, I'm already out of the house. I went by Sonic, got me something to drink out of Sonic, got back home, and I bought like them Sonic cups are pretty large. So I had to make some popcorn to help me have that thirst to down.
First of all, what did you put in the Sonic cup? That's what matters.
No, it was actually a diet limeade. So
okay.
I'm trying to stick to some kind of diet as well.
Limeade. Oh, so it was a diet Sprite with sugar squirted in it.
I don't know about the sugar. It's a diet limeade.
Basically.
I don't think fake news. I'm going to say it right here. We find out how much that lottery is?
Yeah. It was no one actually won, so it's jumped to 575 million.
575, half a trillion, right? Or $500 million. $500 million, not a bad payday. Didn't we hit the $1 billion last year though? Didn't like one person win it or something like that?
Yeah, we did. We got one time that we had $1 billion.
And
let
one
me fact
winner,
check
right?
that.
I think it's a fact. I think it's for sure.
I agree with you.
It was a big winner last year on that, but $500 million going out this year. What do you got for us?
4 members of an Oakland County lottery club finally cashed in their $1 billion winning Mega Millions.
Lottery club. Is there such saying?
I don't know.
Lottery club. Let's make one up. You know what? There is an entrance fee, and we'll have you join it. Don't worry about it. If we win, we'll be honest, and we'll let you know. Hey, Drive Safe Dave, let's talk a little bit. We saw more flights getting canceled across the United States.
1,500, right? Yes.
1,500. American, I think it was Southwest Airlines had 600 and something flights canceled, like 15% of its flight schedule. And this is what you're going to find weird is that as we had the weather go across the country, let's face it, like 85% of those, maybe 90% were canceled due to weather.
Yeah,
I know it's a shocker for you. You want to put everything on COVID, but it was weather. Believe it or not, Mother Nature does make an impact in our flights.
Yeah, so I was watching the news yesterday, and it showed a report on that 15,000 flights have been canceled over the weekend and holiday from Friday to yesterday. And they anticipate this to be a long-lasting through the month. They don't think they're going to get completely out of it until the end of the month. They don't think this is a one-week deal or a 2-week deal.
Now, let's face it, 18,500 flight cancellations since Christmas Eve. And you see the airlines going in there, paying their pilots a little more. Hey, do you have any available hours?
3 times
You know what? We'll pay you 3x. I think that was United doing that. You have a lot of those airlines, the JetBlues, and I think American as well, going back saying, you know what? We're just going to reduce our flights this in January. We're going to admit that COVID is happening, that weather did happen. You can't make it up. And these pilots, as COVID goes through and it's making its way across America, it's getting you sick, and when you're sick, you can't fly. And boy, let me tell you, with as many people that I don't say pushed out to retirement, right? The early buyouts.
Yeah, they were
back when COVID hit
right.
in 2020. You thought this thing's never going to come back. People are never going to fly again. All of a sudden, you got rid of all that, right? We're never going to. It goes into the same thing. We're never going to sell another car ever.
Yeah,
so we quit ordering chips.
Yeah,
and they quit making chips.
Yeah, so it's actually a pretty good strategy to limit their number of flights. That way, it's less crews on stand. And then what it does is it allows the crews that they do have to go to the flights that it makes it a little bit easier. But I think they cut like a bunch of them. I think it was JetBlue that first announced that they were going to scale it back. Hey, you know what? Surrender. We're not going to have all those flights available.
Yeah, JetBlue they made the big announcement. Now they're not a major airline, but it's still they're making the announcement. Southwest Airline. Everybody's going to start cutting back during this month of January. Fill the planes up, right? Again, we don't expect to see a lot of bargains. Less flights means higher rates, right. Supply and demand. And that's them doing that. Supply and demand. We're going to just switch subjects. I just saw that on the news too. Did you see the meat? You got Biden going after the meat producers, the meat packers, saying that they are gouging the pricing. It's not It's not this. It's not just about supply and demand,
chain,
right?
yeah.
They're going after saying, hey, they're actually going in there fighting and reducing the farmers their cost on the purchase price and still raising the pricing
Right,
up.
exactly.
5 people pretty much make up 5 companies, I think, make up the majority of the beef. So we've seen it in the chicken, we've seen it in now the cows, and you got Biden coming in. What are your thoughts on getting the president involved with meat?
Well, you know what? Anytime you have trust, anytime that antitrust laws are there for a reason, especially when you have a monopoly in the deal. I'm okay with monitoring and watching out, but you know what? I really don't want the executive branch getting involved in. I mean, we actually have a police force and we have an attorney general to go after those people, not the president of the United States.
Inflation. Have you seen it? We're at the highest level
Where are we
in
at?
4 decades.
I know.
In 4 decades. That's a shocker. And
70s.
here's the
And
young producer
the 70s.
who's almost 2 decades old, coming at us, rolling his eyes, saying, "What now?"
Okay.
Producer?
Wait a minute.
I was gonna say the way they measured it in the 70s was more accurate than how they measure it today. So I'd say
in
it'd
the
probably
good
be
old
higher
days.
today than the 70s. But continue.
But back in the good old days, I remember back in the 70s.
I remember
Name
the
me
70s.
anything that you. When were you born?
It's not that I remember. It's just
96. When were you born?
98.
98.
Golly, 10 years after I graduated high school. And you know what though, Drive Safe, that goes into what we see in this world, and kind of getting off subject here, but that age group over there, they know it all. Have you noticed that? I mean, I know you have kids his age.
Absolutely.
I do as well. They're an educated group, no doubt about it. The most educated group in the history of the United States is what we have right now. And they know it all already.
They know it so well that I remember she didn't know where to get a stamp. Sorry, honey, I love you. I'm just telling you. Didn't know where to buy a stamp.
You know what? Here's another thing. I remember when we had everybody fill out. In Afghanistan, we did a thing at the office to where write postcards or letters to the servicemen overseas.
Right.
We did that in the office, and that same group over there, they never written one out. They're like, well, how do you fill out a postcard? How do you do this?
Hey, and Drive Safe Dave takes, and you got to admit, Drive Safe Dave, every time he goes on vacation, he always sends a postcard.
Not always.
But okay,
You used to.
You
changed since COVID.
No, I sent one last time I
Did you?
left.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't see it.
I sent one.
But there's a lot of things I haven't seen. Drive Safe Dave, and God bless him and his beautiful wife. I used to always get cologne for Christmas. And I am cologne.
Wow! My wife watches this show
If you smell like
religiously.
cologne, leave it alone. That's what they're telling me. So I get nothing. What happened to that?
Oh my goodness! You know
What
what?
happened?
My wife said she would like. She has been looking for the opportunity to see you personally and your wife to bring y'all your gift.
I like where we're going with this, and more to come your way on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. All right, welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive Safe Dave, you are our Washington insider, and you're itching to tell us stories because you know more than most people do. So without giving up any of your sources, hey, tell us some of the stuff that you're talking about behind the scenes. No sources allowed.
Okay, I will tell you that as we've looked back and as we've seen this Ukraine crisis grow and the United States push and Russia push, and in this aggression, I would go almost a Cold War type aggression in the Eastern Europe. I'm telling you, this is developing back into what it was 30 years ago, where these two major powers are struggling to get their forms of government against one another in the East. I'm telling you, this is the NATO going against the Russian war pact, and there may be something. Okay, Sir Rick, I can tell you right now, he is super excited about the idea that the Cold War may be heating. The Cold
you still
War
have another segment. Keep going.
The
You have
Cold
like another
War,
minute or two.
I'm just saying,
I
the Cold
get my
War,
power nap during this time.
The Cold War may be heating up because the Russia looks at our Western advances across Eastern Europe as an aggression toward their ideas of government, which is much different than ours.
Gotcha. And that's more to come tomorrow on your Washington Insider. Thanks, Drive Safe Dave. Hey, Apple became the first $3 trillion valuated company in America. Did you see that?
I saw that. It was briefly, right, while trading. It's not
it was
like
brief, but it did it.
Yeah,
They did it. What are your thoughts on that? And before you go anywhere else, Drive Safe Dave, quiz for you. You're my Washington Insider, which means you tend to know things about the world. Who was the first company in the world to hit a $3 trillion valuation?
I thought it was Apple.
That was in the United States.
Oh, the first. You
You got to give me something.
DHL.
Nope, it was Apple. They were the first in the world and the first in the United States.
Get out of here. I hate this guy. I said Apple. Our first guess was Apple, and you're like, no, that's the U.S. Try again.
I was just making sure you heard the question because there was phrase first for that. Hey, so listen to this. We're going to go into music a little bit. I know today is Music Man Mike's Day as they do Rockopedia sometime today.
I did that
Here we go. Did you see how many of those musicians sold their rights?
There was like, what, 10?
They're all over the place. So David Bowie sold his. That just came out. That's this year. $250 million. I mean, Let's Dance, right?
Ziggy Stardust.
Does he have another song? David, I'm just kidding. I know he does. I got the music guys out there.
Rebel, right? Didn't he do Rebel?
That was Billy Idol.
No, that's Rebel
The Rebel Yell.
That's Rebel Yell. Rebel. Ziggy Stardust was his.
So here you go. The boss, Bruce Springsteen,
Big.
$500 million sold in 2021. Aerosmith, they haven't announced that yet, undisclosed. That better be more than the boss, I gotta say. That's Aero freaking Smith. That was my first concert ever to go to.
Was it?
Yep, for sure. Tina Turner, $50 million, a cool $50 million. You better be good to me. Tina Turner, Beach Boys, undisclosed, and here's
for their time they were huge.
For their time, but who listens to that today?
I don't know.
You know, here we go. I know, but you're also the same group. Hold on. But you're the same group of people that are getting ready to retire in trucking. Let's face it, it's that older generation. It's the same group that we're talking about in trucking that we're getting ready to lose due to retirement. That's who listens to the Beach Boys. Do you ever listen to them?
Yes, at the beach. I've listened to the beach. No, I don't listen to them regularly.
All right, so you're not at the beach.
They're not on my 80s.
Motley Crue.
They are on my 80 station.
$90 to $150 million.
I saw that.
Paul Simon, undisclosed. Lindsey Buckingham.
From there.
Who? I don't know. I was like, who?
No, I know she's from.
Is that a karaoke star?
No, Nick. She's with.
It was a
Fleetwood Mac.
Right? Fleetwood Mac.
Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, Fleetwood Mac. I had to look that up. I was like,
Fleetwood
who's this? They got karaoke folks are selling their rights now,
yeah.
Or what? I mean, yeah, Lindsey Buckingham selling out.
Fleetwood
Red
Mac.
Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh yeah.
140 to 150 million. Neil Young. 150 million.
Never.
And ZZ. You never heard Neil Young?
No, I don't really like
ZZ Top.
Oh yeah, big fan.
Big one.
El
50 million.
El Loco.
Them and Tina in the same low $50 million. Those aren't some bad valuations. A lot. They're playing music. They played music.
Yeah, they don't.
Some
play
of them
anymore.
still play.
Yeah.
I guess they go out there. They're all still on their last tour, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Final tour. One more time. I think I've seen the Eagles' final tour 5 times.
But that's a lot of cash. What are your thoughts on that? Would you ever drive safe? Do you have anything that could sell? If you had your own little something in your life right now, what is that you could sell and you think is going to be one day worth a lot of money?
I don't know. I'm going to go with
your shirt collection.
Yeah, my shirt collection might be huge. Might be one day a.
It's huge.
It's huge. It's big. It is very big. You know what? My history books. I got a ton of history books. I don't know.
Oh yeah, you can't. I mean, Encyclopedia Britannicas.
No, I don't
right?
have those.
Those are worth tons.
Those are worth nothing.
Worth tons. What about you had nothing? So cryptocurrency. I heard producer talking a little bit about that.
I know he had some
show.
like gaming cryptocurrency.
What does that even mean? I mean, is there really?
So how much is it to buy in right now if you bought cryptocurrency right now?
Well, it's his own,
on your DeFi.
So this coin I bought was at like $7. Now it's at $21. Put a decent amount of money, that I'm willing to lose, right? Because it's all speculative.
If you sold it today, if you said I'm selling it for $21, would it get bought up?
Yeah, it would. Someone would buy it on the market.
What market?
Multiple exchanges. You have to sell at one exchange and then take it to another exchange and then finally take it from that exchange and send it to your bank account.
Everybody get their fees every time you do that?
Huh?
Everybody get their fee every time
Eventually
you do that?
it's back to
It's
7.
like, probably less than $1 each time. And so on something that's a good amount of money, it's actually very fair.
I was looking at some of the cryptocurrencies and how to buy them, but you just can't go.
I've doubled my money.
Like your Ameritrade or whatever. You just can't buy it on that, right? You got to go to some.
Until you can, and then once you can, then it'll be worth a lot more money, and that's when I cash out when you start buying it.
Got it all planned. I'm telling you, man.
It's like how,
those guys have it all planned out. They've got the world figured out. Cryptocurrencies, Dogecoin, Bitcoin, but you know what?
There's so many now. They got so many different currencies.
Well, this one's like a video game you can participate in, so that's where
that
I
makes
see
it
the
even
value.
More comforting to know that you're going to invest.
There's an actual product and service
even
behind
more comforting, right? I love gaming. I love gaming, but it just makes it more comforting to know that I've got a bunch of 12-year-olds out there investing in my
12-year-olds. I don't know about that or not, but I get your point on that. Hey, let's throw some valuations in there. CBRE became just did the largest warehouse purchase in the world ever. At $4 billion, $4.98 billion. They bought out the warehouse at Drive Safe Dave from Ross Perot Jr. He's either developed them or is in the process of still developing some of these warehouses in the U.S., U.K., Germany, and Poland. $4.98 billion. And as we bring it back to logistics a little bit, we've been talking about those warehouses. We see them all over the place. They're getting built. And eventually it's going to help with the supply chain. You still got to get the product there, right? But one thing I believe is, and if we believe in what we say and what we've learned from, you talk about the history side, is that we're never going to let this much freight, this much control happen so far away in like China.
I do hope that we learn from that, and I do know that we're retargeting special special products to make sure that we develop them here now after this crisis, and I just hope the sting lasts long enough for us to make a good choice going forward, so that we learn from the lessons of the past.
Yeah, and as we continue to build these warehouses and understand there's some, even today, I mean, there really are, there's a lot of open space. There's still a lot of vacancy in some of these warehouses. They've been spoken for. So, even though a warehouse may be 1 million square foot, may have 400,000 open, somebody's paying for that. Because they eventually are hoping
they're going to
get that product, right?
They've
ordered it, just isn't here yet. And that's why you see these warehouses. Hey, just look at this for a second. When we look at the capacity across the warehouses today, and I'm just going to look at it right now. If we look at a year, we go to this last year maybe. Here we go. We've got a delay going on. Well, you know what? We don't do it. We'll look at the 5-year numbers here. This is the capacity. So if you go back to 2018, 2019, you can see us riding between 55 to 60% of vacancy. Today, down to 43.98%. So we see those warehouses just shrinking in the opportunity to have, in that space. It's going away. And when that goes away, also what will happen is what, Drive Safe Dave? Less space means what? Higher rates. You got it right, sir. Higher rates on that. So as the warehousing price begins to shrink, as the warehousing capacity goes down, it's like the airlines, the prices go up. We see the same thing, and let's see if we can go to a 5-year here. We go back to 2018. We see the pricing down here in that 70 mark. Today, look at that jump at 90.29. That index continues to go up on the pricing of those warehousing. We do know this is that those companies that are just getting out of those 5-year contracts in the warehousing are seeing a 25% increase on their rates straight across the board. It's just straight across the board. So, warehouses are going to continue to get built. This price isn't going to go down anytime soon, right? There's a lot of freight still sitting out there. There's a lot of warehouses needed to help with this, to help with these trailers that are sitting full at these warehouses, to help with that productivity that one day we hope will get improved a little bit. But it's just amazing to see the pricing, how it's really gone up. And if you look at this last year alone, Drive Safe Day, we started out at the index of about 80, 77, 70, 80%. Today, 90. Huge increases in rates for these warehouses, and it's just not going to go away. We see them in Dallas market, but you see them close anywhere where there's a rail. Hey, guess what? They're out of capacity. They're building warehouses. That big struggle that I believe in is those warehousing in, say, California, that port. There's nowhere else to build, right?
No,
I mean, it's there. What you have is there. You're going to have to get more productive somehow out of those ports, or you're going to have to send it somewhere else.
Yeah, you can't continue to stock it on the containers. You got to get it out of the containers and put it in a warehouse. You can't continue to. And right now, what they're doing is they're just stacking containers, and you can't do that because it's just not efficient. It's very inefficient. You got to get them warehouse so that you can pick and pull and then load them on trucks. And until you do that, you're being very inefficient with your product.
Hey, more to come in about 2 minutes, or actually about 60 seconds, here on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Hey everybody, it's Drive Safe Dave here with BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. As you know, winter is upon us, and with winter comes some difficulties and challenges. Now, if you live below or running below that 20 or I-10 corridor, you may not feel that pressure, but if you do, let's talk about a few little tips that we have. Tip number 1, let's make sure we get over here and we drain these air tanks. Let's get that moisture out of there so that we make sure, because moisture and freezing cold temperatures don't mix. All they make is ice. Tip number 2, remember when air temperature drops, so does pressure in these tires. You want to make sure that when you enter into or near cold temperatures, you make sure that your tire pressure is and cold pressure stays correct throughout these cold temperatures. You want to be safe out there because this is where the rubber meets the road. Tip number 3, if it's extreme weather and extreme cold conditions, you may want to make sure that you use an anticoagulant or an anti-gel inside the diesel fuel so that it thins and doesn't gel up on you in the lines or anywhere else. Tip number 4, as you know, when you enter into the West, there are certain regions that require you to have snow chains and or snow socks in that region. Make sure that you carry them. And tip number 5, I'm going to give this one to you as a freebie. Carry with you a little bit of cat litter in your truck. That way, if you get a little bit stuck or if you get near a region that doesn't have a lot of grip, you can throw that down and give your truck that needed oomph to get out of those sticky or slippery situations. For more pertinent and safety information, you can always tune in Monday through Friday, Central Standard Time between 7 and 8 a.m. and get that needed information on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
All right, Dave, I know we have some weather we're going to jump into. We got Dale coming in, double check Dale coming in with a little bit of weather and road updates, construction, whatever that is. He does it well. Hey, Drive Safe, we saw those weather cancellations. A lot of snow right up in that northeast.
Yeah, I do know that yesterday there was a record-setting snow. They got almost 8 inches into Washington, D.C. itself. You even saw President Biden had a difficulty flying into Andrews Air Force Base because of the heavy snow that came down. They got almost up to 14 inches on that East Coast, and it stretched all the way up. But boy, when you got up to New York City, it just stopped, and they got almost nothing. So
they got COVID there. When you have COVID, I mean, you can't.
Yeah, it was no snow. We got COVID. It didn't want to come in and get it wasn't vaccinated. So I'll tell you, there's going to be a little bit of clearing this week. I did see that in the weather, but I think we've got some chances of some snow hitting us late in the week. Not in the country.
Okay,
across
gotcha.
the
I'm going to put some money. I'm going to agree with you.
Midwest.
Somewhere
Big,
in the country,
okay,
there may be snow in this upcoming week. Let me tell you something. This guy comes hard in the paint when it comes to the facts.
There will always be snow with Alaska, so.
Yeah. Drive safe. Always.
I don't know about always.
Always a long time.
It is
always
a long
is a
time.
long time.
It is a long time.
Was time to do fact check the producer.
There's a lot of
to see
mountains
if
though.
that
He
was
could.
true.
There's a lot of mountains in Alaska, so he could.
I'm going to go
possibly-
with him on that. Somewhere I would
Yeah,
think there
it's
has
a big
to be.
piece of property.
Hey, it is time for that phrase that pays, though. Drive safe. Dave, talk to us a little bit. What is that phrase that pays?
January is here. Slow down a gear.
One more time.
January is here. Slow down a gear.
Slow down a gear. Listen, don't have a beer. We got to make sure that we are staying clear of all the dangers near. It's important that we remember this. So in all seriousness, hey, you can't drink and drive. And just another quick reminder, we have about 30 seconds to kill. Drive safe, Dave. Let's just hit that a little bit. There's no room in the trucking and the transportation ever for alcohol.
Alcohol or drugs of any kind that alter your ability to be 100%, because we want you to be 100% behind the wheel. We want everybody 100% behind the wheel. Less than that leaves the opportunity for an accident or a death or a fatality in some way, shape, form, or fashion. We don't want that. There's no room for it. It's not what we want here. And we want that same for you out there on the road.
All right, we got Double Check Dale coming up next on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
A good Tuesday morning to you on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. We're going to do a little bit of safety this morning. We're going to talk about some roads, traffic, weather, some safety, and then look at some videos. Let's jump right into the traffic right now. We're going to start in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Really looks pretty good this morning. Traffic's probably still a little bit light. You know, traffic's getting back into the swing of things after the holiday. Over on the Fort Worth side, you know, 35W, just where it hits that 820 loop on the north side of town. Looks like we have a little bit of congestion and slow down right in there. And then on 820 in the North Richland Hills area on the eastbound side, you're going to see a slowdown, but nothing major over on the Fort Worth side. Mid-cities look really good this morning, with the exception of Arlington, 360 and 30. On the southbound side, you're going to see a slowdown and some backup there. So you're in that area, 360 and 30 in the Arlington. Be prepared for a slowdown. Get over the Dallas side, SRT up in the Farmers Branch area. You're going to see a slowdown in there, and 183 and 114 in Irving. Looks like we got a little bit of a disturbance going on, but nothing major. You get in the downtown area of Dallas, and you're going to see some more slowdowns in traffic. You know, pretty typical for this time of day and for that area of town. So if you're 30 in the downtown area of Dallas, be prepared for some slowdowns and some heavier traffic. 635 over in the Garland area. Looks like we have a little bit of a tie-up and slowdown there, but nothing major. And then 80 out in Forney, westbound lanes. Looks like there's a slowdown there. But for the most part, pretty good traffic this morning. All the roads going south out of Dallas-Fort Worth area look really good this morning. You know, get down to Houston. You know, a little bit more traffic there than there's been recently. That I-10 coming into town, right where it hits that outer loop. You're going to see a slowdown there on I-10. The outer loop looks really good. Inner loop looks really good. Downtown Houston, of course, you're going to see a little bit of traffic or probably a lot of traffic, but doesn't look like we have any major slowdowns there. 45 going out of town, South Houston and the Pasadena area, you're going to see a slowdown there. But other than that, Houston looks really nice this morning. getting to Kansas City, and we can just say Kansas City, if you're up there, enjoy the ride. Doesn't look like there's any major slowdowns or accidents to talk about. Getting out to Chicago, all the major roads coming into town, from the west look really good. 90, 88, 80 looks good. 55 looks good. 294 loop looks really good this morning. You get inside the 294, seeing a little bit more traffic on the 55 area in that Stickney area of town. A little bit in the downtown. Of course, downtown Chicago, you're going to see some heavy traffic. But other than that, Chicago looks really good over on the Indiana side. 80, 90, 94 looks good. Going out to Atlanta, south side of the loop, 285 loop looks really good. Nothing to speak of there. Where 20 and 285 come together out on the west side of town. A little bit of a slowdown there. Looks like we may have something going on. So, be prepared to slow down, keep your patience, and keep the space in front of you. The north side of the loop, up in the Sandy Springs area, that's where you're going to see a little bit of a slowdown, but nothing major there. So just, normal traffic out in Atlanta, just, pack your patience, slow down, keep your space in front of keep your space from the vehicle in front of you. Going into Philadelphia, traffic's a little heavier out in Philadelphia this morning than it was yesterday morning, but it's still really not bad. When we get into the downtown area on 76, that's where we're going to see, the slowdowns and some heavier traffic. But for the most part, not a lot going on there. 295 going up, going north towards Trenton. A little bit of a slowdown in a couple areas there, but nothing major there. And so, if you're out in the Philadelphia area, it looks really pretty good this morning. Nashville looks good this morning. A little bit on 24, just north of the 65 loop, you're going to see a slowdown. And then 24 and 40, where they split out on the east side of town, and 24 starts going south again. Looks like there's some traffic and congestion there. But for the most part, Nashville looks really good. 40 looks good all the way across town. 24 and 65 going south of town both look really good. Washington, D.C. looks a lot better this morning than it did last night, but there is still a lot of heavy traffic, mostly on the eastern side of D.C. is where the heavy traffic is located. East Riverdale, Landover, Greenbelt, Wheatland, Kettering, Bowie, Annapolis, all those areas, lots of orange, and so you're going to see a lot of heavy traffic out there, lots of slow-moving traffic, so pack your patience, really be aware of that. Know that, it's going to be a slow ride in those areas this morning. But if you get up to the Baltimore area, traffic in Baltimore looks really good this morning. Nothing, no major slowdowns in the Baltimore area. Indianapolis, all the roads coming in look really good. It is the 465 loop over on the southwest or southeast corner in the Beech Grove, Warren Park area, where you are going to see the southbound lanes a major tie-up and slow down there. Expect some major delays in the Beech Grove, Warren Park area on that 465 loop in Indianapolis. Other than that, there's nothing else to talk about. All the roads look really good there. We're going to jump into some weather, and we're going to see what if Dave's right about having snow someplace later in the week. But we're going to start with the wind today. The winds. Starting out, we're going to see some pretty strong winds on the front range of the Rockies in New Mexico and in Colorado up into Wyoming. So if you're on the, out in those areas, that's where your major winds are going to be this morning. There's some pretty strong winds going on out there. Like I said, stretches from New Mexico all the way up through Colorado, all the way up into Wyoming. Most of Wyoming, if you're looking at the map, most of Wyoming is going to see some really strong winds today. With some major gusts, and so we'll keep an eye on those. Some of those gusts in certain areas could hit 60 miles an hour. Let's just take a look at some of those. Yeah, around Laramie, winds are 25 miles an hour. We're going to see gusts. I believe we saw a gust about 40 miles an hour there. So, if you're up in that area, definitely going to see some major winds going on there today. As we slide this into this afternoon, those winds, that whole area of wind up in the Denver area or Colorado and Wyoming area starts to shift a little bit to the east. And so the western part of Nebraska, most of the western South Dakota, northwestern Kansas, The winds are really starting to pick up there later this afternoon. Also see an area of wind in the Texas Panhandle. Going to have some pretty strong winds out there. And then up through Oklahoma into the Kansas City, Missouri areas this afternoon, the winds start to pick up a little bit. Out east, winds look pretty decent, nothing major going on there. As we go over into the overnight, I think the winds die down in a lot of areas except for the upper Midwest, and that's going to be that area, South Dakota, southeastern South Dakota, northwest Iowa, southwest Minnesota, northeast Nebraska. Got some really high winds going there, and overnight we're also going to see some snow in that area. And so you want to definitely be aware if you're up in that area. That's going to be the I-90 corridor and I-29. So be aware of the snows going on up there. Winds do pick up a little bit more out in Illinois and Indiana, so if you're in those areas, be aware of that. By tomorrow afternoon, the winds still up in that central Midwest, but they stretch all the way across northern Illinois, northern Indiana, Ohio, and out into Pennsylvania. So the winds are starting to make a comeback and are going to be blowing pretty hard up in that area. And again, the strong winds will still be on the front range of the Rockies all the way up to New Mexico, Colorado, and then southern Wyoming is going to see winds. Let's take a look and see where the snow is going to be at. And right about now, we have quite a bit of snow out in the Pacific Northwest, along the coast up in Washington. Most of Oregon is getting it. Northern California is still getting snow. Parts of Wyoming and then up into Montana. But the rest of the United States right now doesn't look like we're seeing much precipitation. As we start that in motion and we go to this afternoon, the snow starts to shift a little bit more into the east. And we're seeing a pretty heavy band of snow all along the Colorado, Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, Wyoming borders. We're going to see quite a bit of snow there. And also another big band of snow is starting to come in from Canada up in the north by North Dakota. As we get to the overnight hours, that band of snow up from Canada has reached down into most of Minnesota and northern Iowa and Wisconsin. So plan for some snow if you're up in those areas overnight. And then also the snow is still continuing along that the border of Colorado, Wyoming, and Utah. So be prepared for the snow out there. By tomorrow morning, Salt Lake City will be getting some snow, and that snow band intensifies over most of Wyoming. And so a lot of snow coming into Wyoming tomorrow morning, by tomorrow afternoon. And then the snow that was in central Iowa and Minnesota starts heading up to the northeast, and so that starts to go away. And then if we look into Thursday, still more snow. And Thursday we're expecting some snow in most of Missouri, southern Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky could see some snow, and then Tennessee. And again, the southern edge of that snowstorm on Thursday will have some freezing rain. So we definitely want to keep an eye on what's going on with that. With that being said, we are going to go over to some safety. And this week's safety topic is brakes, truck brakes. Yesterday we talked about, taking care of them, a little bit of maintenance on it, what the life expectancy is. And today we're going to talk about overheating the brake pads. And when brake pads get overheated, they get hard, they get brittle, and the shoes and the pads lose their ability to grip. And so we want to make sure that if you run the mountains a lot, that's where we usually see the brakes get overheated and heat comes into play. We want to make sure we do our maintenance, regular maintenance on it. If the brakes start to feel spongy on you, that's a good bet that your pads may be a little been overheated and they aren't doing their job. And so spongy brakes is definitely a feeling for, get your brakes checked out. So you really want to watch that. If you're going down long grades, let your engine, let your truck do part of the braking for you. Don't ride the brakes down a long grade, because that'll just start to build the heat in them and overheat them. The accident-free streak, we're now at 6 days on preventable accident-free. To get out and look back in accident-free, is 17 days, and the DOT reportable is at 36 days. Let's take a short break and we'll come back.
You're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. BCB Live covers freight. Here we are now at 21% of record freight being rejected.
News down in Texas. We're going to talk a little bit about this. We had another $1.5 million seizure. If ever there's a time to do a pre or post trip, it's if you're doing something wrong.
Weather, traffic.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to some traffic and weather with Buckle Up Bob. You can kind of see where the visibility can be compromised a little bit. Again, right where that rain is.
And most importantly, safety.
One of the things that we must do is make sure that safety is the number one thing that we focus on.
Going into an intersection, yellow is not the way. That's to clear an intersection, not to enter an intersection.
Tune in weekdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can watch BCB Live through LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today and follow BCB Live.
Welcome back to Double Check Dale TV. Drive Safe Dave, when he does the show, he wants us no part of it.
Yeah,
He's just like, you know what, y'all stay away.
Yeah.
This is my show, I got it.
Yeah.
I was just, I got so caught up in the moment talking about safety and brakes and everything, and then all of a sudden I realized, hey, Rick and Dave should be back in here for that song. Hey, welcome back, guys.
We were waiting in the sidelines, sitting over there.
We have no value, and it's all about you. Everybody's
doing-
here to listen to what you have to say anyway. Hey, we'll just sit back and you do your thing.
Just let us know how to proceed. We'll just follow your lead.
Okay, well, let's proceed to some videos then.
All right. Sounds good.
First video we're looking at here, we do pretty good. We start out pretty good, and then we start getting closer, and we start the tailgate. We're way too close here before we make this lane change. And as we jump out, we're too close behind that van. We've got to keep those spaces there because if something goes wrong, something falls off that flatbed, tire blows out, we're too close.
Puts his brakes on. A cow runs out in the road. Whatever that is. Hey, Drive
Or
Safe
walks
Dave.
out.
Yeah. Hey, give me a countdown to show us how close we are.
A sign. You see the sign up ahead? Let's do it right there at the sign. 1001. 1000. Ooh, we're a little too close.
And if you're counting out loud, and we're going to encourage you this year to count out loud, understand your distance, because you can't stop this fast. If something happens to this truck, you're going to rear end the truck.
Yeah, and you're going to lose, especially on these hot shot guys pulling heavy loads up inclines. They're going to bleed off RPMs. You're going to realize this on this incline. They're just not going to be able to keep up. They just don't have the torque, the power. They're going to lose power just like any other big truck would on a small incline. And then that's what we're facing right here. That's the reason of the quick slowdown is because, but you got to maintain your distance even if you have to go slow up the hill. Understand, it is up to you to control that piece of concrete between you and the vehicle in front of you.
Next one here, we have to have that big picture, and we have to respect everybody that's using the roadways, because we're coming up on an individual on a scooter here, and the driver in this one gets entirely too close to this vehicle. Needed to back off, need to give that scooter some space and make a safe lane change over there. Just a scary little video right there.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about this. You see it, I thought I saw something like that back there. Of course, we're looking at it on tape. We just you got to make sure you're looking up ahead and expect, this stuff right here. These guys and bicyclists, they have no business on the road. I know Drive Safe doesn't agree with that, but the scooter part right here, Drive Safe, that's not legal, right?
It actually is, but remember, every one of us is important out there. It doesn't matter who's out there. They have a right to be on the road. That's why we have them there. And you need to give this individual his due of the road. You never fully leave that lane, which is scary because you're not respecting the other person's right to the road. And that in and of itself shows that you're not doing it. I understand going around, but you have to give them their lane, and you're not doing it here. You're barely leaving yours and then back in. You've got to give them their lane. That is, man, I mean, whether they're a bicyclist, whether they're a scooter, whether they're a motorcycle, I mean, let's be honest. The rules of the road mean give space.
That's right. Whether they have a right to be there or not doesn't matter. They're there at that point. At that point, we have to take actions to make it safe. So.
Okay.
I agree with you because I don't think a skateboard's allowed on that highway right there.
I think that's a motorized scooter, if I'm not mistaken.
Just
It's a scooter.
I don't
It's a
see a
scooter.
license plate on it.
We have Mr. Gerald. He's on the line.
What's up, Gerald?
Gerald.
Hey, not to mention, you look up there and you see you're coming to a railroad crossing. What about Rick and Brian's truck and trailer and freight back there? I mean, you jump the track. Not a good video right there.
Yeah, I agree on that
that's
part
scary.
as well. Hey, great point on the railroad track. I mean, we got to slow down. We got to make sure you're jumping the track. You got a illegal vehicle in the right-hand lane. You know, you got to look for all that stuff. You just have to slow down. And again, I'm going to agree with you, Drive. Say, Dave, we still come way too close to this scooter. I mean, and if we rear end this person, they're dead.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're dead, and that's what and I'm just going to say, we've got to just make sure that we're seeing all this. And I know it's easier said than done. There's so much going on. You got the sun coming down on you. But again, if it keeps you from seeing, you've got to slow down.
Yeah, respect all life and respect life out there.
Situational awareness.
Yeah, absolutely.
This next one's a little hard to see, but it comes right up at the end of the video. You know, we're doing a good job of slowing down. We're seeing that vehicle with flashing lights on. We know something's going on, and there's actually a truck and trailer jackknife across the road right up there. So again, it goes back to that big picture, making sure we're traveling at a speed that we can control. If we need to stop, that we can get stopped.
Yeah, and when you look at this and you see these situations where you got cars pointing the wrong way, trucks pointing the wrong way, vehicles sliding around out of control, this is a good indicator it's time to get off the road.
Yeah, you got to take that exit.
Yeah,
that next
you got to.
exit, right?
Yeah, you got to make sure. You got to tell yourself, look, self, it can happen to me too. I know I'm experienced, but your experience ought to be telling you right now it's time to get off the road. Look at the snow on the mirrors, on the hood. There's a lot going on here. These roads pretty much are precarious right now. You got a car turn the opposite way right there. You got an 18-wheeler jackknife on the road. You got emergency flashers up ahead. You got all these things going on. It's time maybe to give yourself that little extra to not be out there.
Yeah, and if you can, we want you to stop before you get to these things. That's when we talk about using those apps to see where you're going into, what's it looking like, where you're going to, so when you get there, you're not in a surprise, you know. And we want to make sure, because you know, back on that technology side, we saw Dale doing the weather, right? We can't see it all. These are just more predictions, but you're out there in the weather in those conditions. When you see it like that, when you're using your technology, you've got to get off that road before you get to this area. I mean, that's what we want. It's a tough decision. Sometimes I get it, right? You're in it. Now you've got to maneuver through this, and you've got to make sure you get off the road.
Yeah, and you said before, and that's really important, because once you get into an area like this, the truck stops and parking is really going to be limited. And so when you want to try getting off in this area, you know, the truck stops may be full already, so you just want to plan ahead and get off before you get to it.
This is what? This is 5 o'clock on yesterday morning. Is that what it says?
Yep.
So it's early in the morning. You know, just let the sun come out. Wait another 3 hours. If you're trying to get somewhere to deliver, hey, there's a good chance when you see this, they're not going to be there anyway, or there's going to be delays, even if your appointment's at 6 o'clock in the morning. They've got to get through the same roads, and guess what? They're not going to drive. You know, they're going to wait for the sun to come out to get rid of that ice or whatever that is on the road.
Where was this? Tennessee? Where was this?
Southside or Chicago, Indiana. New Chicago, Indiana.
We got Mr. Alan Arnold on the line.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Allen.
Good morning, Mr. Rick. Hey, Mr. Dale, this is Dave. I tried sending a message a minute ago. I-95 around Fredericksburg, south and north. 6 semi accident. It's all backed up. And 64 in Huntington, West Virginia. Truck hit a bridge in the construction zone. It's all backed up. So the roads are a little icy through there. Anybody coming across this Sabre, be careful.
Gotcha. Appreciate that, Mr. Allen. And again, that's what it's about. We hear these warnings on here. We've got to go back, and we're going to do our part, but you've got to make sure when you're listening to the show, when you hear other drivers call in giving us these warnings, that you pay attention to them. You do the same thing. You know, use our technology, use our ability to communicate as much as we can so we avoid these situations and we protect life.
This next video here, the driver in this video does a great job. We were talking about stale green lights yesterday. We have a stale green light. The driver's doing a great job slowing down, comes to a stop for it. Not so much for the four-wheeler. It has to be everybody. The driver that stops there, protecting the traffic behind him, isn't going to go through there needlessly. So great job by the driver.
Agree.
You know, intersections are dangerous. We watch this container truck ahead of us. This light is red, and he doesn't brake or anything, just blows right through a red light. So, you know, intersections are dangerous. Always wait that extra second if your light turns green going the other way, because, you know, we see this far too often where they just blow right through a red light.
This is distracted driving. That's what this is. Just distract. This is distract, and this is how people get killed.
And the last one, you know, with the road conditions, you know, we always talk about being at the speed where we can come to a stop, wait till this truck is kind of sliding right through the area where he needs to be. So we need to, you know, make sure that the speed is someplace where we can control the truck and we can handle the truck, because now it's got to unfortunately back up a little bit, and that's not a good situation to be in. So, you know, roads are slick. We're going to see a lot of slick and ice packs, snow-packed roads. They're going to be very slick, so let's make sure we're watching our speeds, or everybody's watching the speeds and taking it down. I hear Bucko Bob say, you know, a lot of times you're driving, you slow down another 5 or 10 miles.
Whenever you see a situation like that, basically the driver probably turned his wheel and he just slid forward. But I'll tell you that even when you need to back up like that, you need to get out and look. You need to step out and make sure there's nobody right behind you, because a lot of people follow right behind you. And if you're just backing up a few feet, you still have to get out and look at what's back there, because you truly don't know. Because people do follow right behind trucks, especially in inclement weather like that, because they feel a little bit safer when they've got a truck right out in front of them. So it doesn't matter. And I get there are times when you have to back up in certain situations, especially when your wheels slide like that. But do yourself a favor, get out, just put your flashers on, get out, make sure nobody's back there before you back up, because all you're going to end up doing is backing into somebody, and it'll be your fault.
Yeah, and I want to make sure, too, that, you know, we talk about the inclement weather. We're seeing you driving in the inclement weather. We're not saying all the time shut down, but when you're in that weather, you've got to give it the respect. You've got to, you know, the situational awareness. Dave, you talked about it, I think, either this week or last week. You talked a little bit about some of the signs, right? The ice on the windshield, or the snow on the windshield, on the mirrors. You see those things. You see that road, and you know what? It looks like it's icy. And you look at the temperature. You use the weather apps that we have. All of these things that we have, they're there to make sure that we make safe decisions. And just because you're out there driving, yes, you can get through it, but when you're maneuvering through what we saw on that bridge, right? You had the cars over the right side, one facing the wrong way, the other one probably hit it or something like that. You had the truck jackknifed up there. Now you're in a situation to where you've got to somehow maneuver through that on ice. I mean, there's not a lot of leeway there for a mistake. There's not a leeway there for if something goes wrong. If you hit something, you know what, whether it's your fault or not your fault, it's not worth taking a chance for life. And what we want to make sure that you do is that you're using the technology as much as you can to avoid these situations. And it doesn't matter what time your appointment is. You may have an appointment at 6 o'clock on that video, 7 o'clock on that video. You got to get going. I'm saying you're going to be late, because you've got to make sure that that sun comes out, those roads are treated, that you can get through that area safe. And though you may have made it through there, and you may go, Sir Rick, I made it through there just fine. You see, because I did that, I was able to get my delivery off. I was able to get to my next pickup. I'm saying you got lucky.
Yeah, and there is some skill involved, but I will tell you that, believe it or not, and I'm not too worried about the specific drivers with a lot of experience in those situations. It's the other people out there that you run with. They're going to run into you. They're not going to be able to stop. They're going to drive too fast. They're not going to know how to handle their situation. You got other trucks out there with a very little experience. I'm just telling you, you've got to measure all of those things against what you're doing. I'm not saying that most of the drivers out there on the road don't have the experience in inclement weather, but believe it or not, you have the ability to change your mindset and understand that what's out there, there are other obstacles out there that you have no control over, and wild cards out there that you have no idea what they're going to do. And I'll tell you, a four-wheeler will run into you in no time at all on those slick roads, not going way too fast, thinking they got it, and then losing control and not going.
Yeah, there were a lot of people that knew what they were doing on 35 last year in Fort Worth. And producer, as I talked this through there, I want you to get one of those videos up from that Fort Worth accident last year. And Drive Safe Dave, there were a lot of people that knew what they were doing, right?
Absolutely.
And I agree 100%. They were coming from Denton, you know, where the roads were just a little bit wet.
Yep.
They weren't yet iced up. And when you get on that ice, the trucks, the four-wheelers, there's a point, and we see it in some of these pileups, where there's nothing you can do.
They got on this bridge, and there was a sheen of ice on the bridge,
Yep.
and not a single vehicle could stop. Not a single one of them.
It was at easily probably the most painful video that I've ever watched. As you listen to it, just
yeah. And then none of them. I saw truck drivers trying to bleed off speed, running on the guardrail, understanding that what the danger they're in, and just trying to burn off whatever speed they could because they knew they were coming in and they couldn't stop.
It was just and that's what we want to avoid. We want to we don't want you in that situation. Because that's all it takes at 5 o'clock in the morning. This was early in the morning in Fort Worth. This was going on, 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. People on their way to the hospital, going to work. There was a lot of hospital nurses and doctors and from that hospital in that, because they're all going there to go or from work as it hit shift change. And we want to make sure that you're avoiding those situations, because it doesn't matter how good you are. And I'm not doubting your skill level. It's everything else that you're up. If there's nowhere to go, you're going to hit somebody.
That's correct.
And even if you don't, there's a good chance somebody, truck or car, is going to hit you.
Yeah, and the great point is when you talk about it and you look at it, there are indications, like I'm telling you that when they left Oklahoma City and they're coming south, there was no indication that they were going to have any issues whatsoever as they came into the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In fact, some of the roads had been treated, but because of the right time at the right place, that little bit of ice formed on that bridge, and the only indication that any of those people had was their temperature gauge dropped in their vehicles, and that's all they could look at, and that was all that could tell them that there was danger ahead.
It was unbelievably bad, and we want to make sure that you stay out of those situations. Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this day. We thank you for our drivers, and we just ask that you give us that foresight, that ability, the courage to know when to stop, to use that technology, and to remind us that no matter what, that life is so much more important than any mile we're going to get, than any load we're going to deliver. Lord, give us that patience, as drivers, patience as dispatchers, as owners of companies, as safety directors, to know how to handle these situations. And that's the same thing for the four-wheelers, those out there driving with the big trucks, that you give them that same insight that says, you know what, slow down, don't cut that truck off. Respect all of those folks out there. Lord, watch over us, give us that wisdom to be the best that we can be, and to always represent you, to our fullest. In your son's name we pray, amen. Everybody, we want you to be safe out there. We talk about the weather, we talk about the road conditions. We do it because our love for our industry it's real. It's not fake. When we talk about the passion we have for life, and the passion that Dave, I just still will say, we can go a day in this country without killing somebody. We can go a day if we all work together, if we all use our patience, we can go without having that accident. We can do it. I heard you talk about the streaks. There's no reason for these streaks to end. You can control it. You've got to have the courage, Dave, and to talk and count out loud as you're driving to see, are you too close? And when that answer is yes, to then have that courage and the patience to back off. To go a day without an accident, to go a year without an accident, you can do it. It's what we do. It's what we have got to do in 2022, Drive Safe. Dale.
Yeah,
and it takes all of us. We're going to do our part. We want you to do your part. We can do this. We can be the safest. This can be the safest year ever. All we have to do is do it. Y'all be safe. We'll see you this afternoon on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.